On today's episode of Locked On Stars, we'll discuss head coach Pete DeBoer's press conference following the win over the Sharks, what to expect tonight as the Stars are in the nation's capital, a place where they've been historically good, plus shooting star.
You're Locked On Stars, your daily podcast on the Dallas Stars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, Stars fans. I'm Joey Erickson, former producer of 105 Through the Fan. Please be sure to subscribe. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for making us a part of your day and making us your first listen. Welcome to a Thursday edition of Locked On Stars. The Dallas Stars are 4-0, and they look to remain unbeaten tonight in Washington, D.C. against the Capitals, a place where they have been historically dominant. I'll share with you some of the numbers by the Dallas Stars over the years in the nation's capital. We'll also play Shooting Star, but first, I want to break down head coach Pete DeBoer's press conference following the win over the San Jose Sharks. He had a bit of an edge to some of his answers, and I feel like we must talk about it. So that's what we're going to jump into on today's episode, which is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So I got into this sort of conversation on yesterday's episode, but I wanted to expand on it as well about the Stars sort of having this attitude of just going about their business. And yes, we know they were a very good team, but they don't have to play perfect every night to win. And that is sort of what we've seen out of the first 4 games from the Stars. It hasn't been perfect. They've had their issues, but they're still finding ways to win. And Pete DeBoer echoed some of those sentiments in his press conference, but he had a bit of an edge to him following the win. He didn't seem extremely happy to get out of there with 2 points. You could obviously tell he has a lot on his mind and a lot that he believes the Stars need to work on and to improve, which you would expect. We're 4 games into an 82-game journey, right? But he was short at some points. I wouldn't say snarky, but I did want to get into some of his answers during the press conference because I thought it was nice to see Pete DeBoer almost a bit agitated. And that may not be the right adjective, but you can go and take it in yourself. I really encourage you to watch the full press conference in its entirety. But our old buddy Sam Nessler asked him about the power play, and he said, we'll talk about the power play. Give us 10 games, and then we can talk about the power play. So he wanted nothing to do with the power play conversation. And of course, I've kind of hit on it on the last few episodes of Locked On Stars because it hasn't looked very good at all. But I've also kept in mind it's early, but it can still be frustrating to see them do the same things over and over again, and it continues not to work. But he also made some good points, and they are fair, right? Wyatt Johnson missed a lot of camp. So did Robertson, and those are 2 integral parts of your power play, and they're trying to figure it out. And there was this excellent post by Robert Tiffin from D Magazine. He posted this on X. It says, last year, the Stars started the season 41 for 44 on the PK. They were 4 for 37 on the power play. They ended up top 8 in both categories. They're 1 for 13 currently on the man advantage, which is fair. And I sort of made that caveat when I've complained about it here in the first few episodes, but it's hard for me not to want the Stars to just absolutely dominate teams, right? I think that's where I'm coming from in a lot of my conversations and discussions when it comes to the power play or really anything else involving the Stars. I want to see that dominant play that we were so accustomed to seeing in the last month or 2 months of the season a year ago, but they're building towards that. But I can't help wanting them to just completely dismantle teams, especially on the power play, because I know it's so good. I know it's good, and they have the personnel that can do it. They are just not executing, and it's not happening. But it's a fair question at the end of the day. But I can also see where Pete DeBoer's coming at, where he's like, let's give us 10 games and we'll go from there. He was also asked about the Sharks sort of clogging up the neutral zone, and the Stars had some troubles there. And he said it's easier on the players and coaches during that game because it can be frustrating from a coaching point of view. You can see what's happening and you still step on the landmine. And he ended the quote later saying, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and move on. And that seemed like his sort of mood during the press conference. He was asked about the Sharks too later on about what's different about them, and he said, "Ask me again when we play them." and then he was done. He was done for the night. But there was a bit of an edge to his answers following the win, and I like that because as someone that's coming on here and talking about the Stars every single day, and there are points during a season where it feels like fans are much more frustrated with the product than the coaching staff. And I understand that the coach just can't come out every single day because he has to talk to the media every single day. We make him trot out there and answer questions, and he's not going to go out and say the sky is falling, but it's almost rewarding to hear Pete DeBoer share some of the same sentiments that I'm feeling, and I'm sure many Stars fans are feeling as well. Despite the Stars being 4-0, we get that. That is fantastic. I'm not here to discredit anything the Stars have done to this point, but there are things to improve on. And I thought it was nice that Pete DeBoer did have a bit of an edge. I don't think he was snarky by any sort of the measure. There may be a better word to describe it. But I really encourage you to go watch the press conference, about 4 minutes and some change in its entirety. And it's good. It's good because you can tell that he was frustrated. I think that game went to overtime. I think he truly was, because the Sharks are a young team and they play extremely hard. But Dallas should have been in control of that game. And they had some self-inflicted wounds. He mentioned that a few times. They had some self-inflicted plays, and that's what led to the 2 goals, right? A turnover by Robertson at the blue line, and then Ben and Heiskanen with an uncharacteristic play at the blue line as well. And it leads to a couple of chances off the rush, and San Jose makes you pay. And, Pete has to be thinking, we're going to play some better teams down the line and down the road. These can't happen against good teams because they will make you pay. And San Jose didn't take advantage of every opportunity they had a 5-on-3 for over a minute and a half, and they didn't even register a shot, right? So the Stars survived some penalties, and they survived a night where they weren't particularly great in all aspects of their play, and that's just sort of been the theme. But I'll also say, and kind of come full circle on this, the blue collar attitude. That's what I have on the rundown here. Just going about their business, not worrying about what the other team is doing. They don't panic if they're down a goal, down 2, up 3. If they need their netminder to be brilliant that night, they're going to find a way to win games. And that's what they've done. When it all starts to click, watch out. The Dallas Stars are going to be a tough beat. But there are a lot of new faces. And yeah, I think maybe there is something to Johnston and Bork even, and Robertson missing the majority of camp. It is important to practice. And you have to factor in during the season, there isn't a ton of practice time. So those 2 to 3 weeks before the season can be very, very important. And I know I've expressed not having a ton of concerns with Robo missing camp, and I still really don't, probably because the Stars are 4-0. If they're 0-4, it's a different discussion, right? Winning can solve a lot of issues. But if the Stars are, let's say, 1-3, then we're thinking, well, maybe camp was big, and maybe they did need them there. But they're still finding their legs. And I think there is something to that because they don't practice a ton during the season. They just play every other night, and you don't get those opportunities where you're together as a full squad going through your systems, working on the power play and penalty kill. You can't do it a ton during the year. So they sort of have to just work through their issues, right? You have to work through your problems like a slump in baseball, right? You got to hit your way out of it because not getting in the box and trying to swing away, it's going to hurt you even more. And that's what we're just going to have to sort of deal with for the time being when it comes to the power play. On the other hand, the PK's been great, but they haven't had to worry about injuries on their PK. Players like Oscar Beck, Colin Blackwell, Sam Steele, Labushkin, Lindell, they were at camp. They were practicing. They were full participants. Those are the majority of the minutes that are being eaten up on the PK are those four, and you get the Rope in there winning draws. I mean, Wyatt, who's been very, very good, very strong on the PK to begin the year as well. But sometimes the power play is just about outworking the other side, and Dallas hasn't really outworked the other side consistently enough. And I mentioned, I think their best looks have come off just kind of broken plays for the most part. It hasn't been clean. It hasn't been clean. But again, I said again, it's early, but I think it's fair to ask, like, okay, the power play doesn't look great. What do you see out of it? And I thought it was something for him to say, just give us 10 games and we'll worry about it later. So, hey, who knows? Maybe in the next 6 games, the Stars will, pull off some 7 for 15 stretch and he can shove the words right back into our mouth, and we're praising the power play for the next few weeks. Okay, let's jump into tonight's game in the nation's capital. Stars taking on the Capitals. I want to talk about the numbers the Stars have put up in DC over the past 30 years. Really, they've been historically dominant. I'll share you those in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. When you're watching football on the couch this Sunday, get in on FanDuel. Get in on the action and make some money this weekend. You can download it on your smartphone. It's free. It's available. It takes 30 seconds. And yes, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. You don't even have to win, and you can get $200 and have an absolute blast. Go to FanDuel.com to get in on the action. FanDuel.com. Once again, FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, the Dallas Stars are taking on a Capitals team that is 1-1 to begin the season. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights the other day 4-2, and they dropped their season opener against the New Jersey Devils by a final score of 5-3. They have some injuries, but they are a new look Capitals team that went through some offseason changes. They added Jacob Chikrin. They added Matt Roy, of course, who I wanted the Stars to go out and get in free agency, but Roy is out with an injury. He's on the IR. Nicholas Backstrom's on the IR. Unfortunately, he's been there for quite a bit over the last few years. And TJ Oshie as well was put on the long-term injured reserve due to a chronic back injury in September. Matt Roy is day-to-day. It's a lower body injury, so he is expected to miss some time. I don't think he's going to be able to go tonight, but they are trying to stay competitive with Alex Ovechkin, who, of course, is still trying to track down Wayne Gretzky for the NHL's all-time best goal scorer. He's 43 away. He's yet to find the back of the net. He has 3 points and 3 assists, but the Stars have been absolute dominant in Washington, D.C. So This actually comes via the Capitals website here. They did a little game preview, and I also have a few other statistics I want to throw out there, but it says, for whatever reason, the Stars have always given the Caps fits, regardless of venue. Washington has won only 34 of 107 games against the Minnesota/Dallas franchise. The Caps own a 34-51, 16-6 record all time, and their home mark against the franchise is 17-24 and 12, but it's much worse over the last 3 decades. The last win for the Caps, or not the last win, but the Caps eked out a 2-1 win over Dallas in the Stars' last ever visit to USA Airways Arena. Since the Capitals moved downtown in 97-98, Washington has only won 3 of 19 home games. They are 3-11-5 against the Stars, and the Stars have outscored the Caps by a combined total of 70-44 in those 19 games. The Caps' most recent home win over the Stars was a 4-3 victory on March 20th, 2018. The Stars are 16-3 in 19 games on the road at Washington. Can you believe that? 28-17-8 overall. In the 2020s, they were 4-1. In the 2010s, they were 7-1. These are all on the road. I mean, just completely dominant for whatever reason. The one that sticks out to me was a few years ago. It may have been the season opener, or it was really early. I think it was actually when the Stars got off to a tough start a few years ago, and it was their first win of the season. It was an OT win, and Sagan scored the game winner. I can't remember who set him up, but it was a 2-on-1, and Sagan was set up for an OT winner. That one sticks out to me from a few seasons ago. But yeah, Dallas has been unreal. 57-34-16 all time against Washington. So we'll see how they fare tonight. But historically, I guess it's on their side. History is on their side, is what I was going for there. They produce a couple of nice goaltenders. Charlie Lindgren, who had a real breakout season last year. And they also added Logan Thompson. So don't forget about him. He's a familiar foe against the Dallas Stars. Of course, over the past few seasons, he was in Vegas and he was traded, I believe, at the NHL draft, if I'm not mistaken. And he was sending autographs in Vegas when they traded him to Washington. So he's off to a good start, made 24 saves of 26 shots in the win over Vegas the other night. So we'll see who gets the nod, but either way, they have a couple of a really capable goaltenders in DC. Of course, players you have to look out for and try to stop. The key matchups in this one, Dylan Strome. Strome had a nice season a year ago. He put up 27 goals and 40 assists. He had a career high 67 points. He sort of drives a lot of their offense. And Carlson, of course, their talented defenseman that continues to be excellent even as he ages. He's 35 now, but he runs their power play, already has a power play goal on the season and 3 points. But they're also very physical. We know Tom Wilson and Ovechkin's not afraid to play the body. Jacob Vrana, they have a lot of veterans that are physical and play a pretty direct style of game. So I'm looking forward to this one, along with Nick Dowd. He's a great fourth line player for Washington. Keep an eye out on him. He's a former St. Cloud State Husky as well, so I give him some props there. So is Charlie Lindgren, for that matter. They also added Andrew Mangiapane over the summer as well, so don't forget about him. Stars have ran into him multiple times during his years in Calgary. So, I think it's going to be another good test for Dallas. I look forward to watching the Stars just kind of figure themselves out. We haven't seen a dominant 60-minute performance yet, but I'm looking forward to just watching with maybe a more open mind, maybe a less critical point of view, and just take it for what it is. But a good test against a team that's only played 2 games, so they're fresh. And Dallas is coming off a weekend where they played 4 games and 6 nights. It's a pretty busy beginning to the season for Dallas, but they get this one here tonight and they come back home and look forward to a Western Conference final rematch. So hopefully they're not looking ahead to that and looking towards some revenge against the Oilers, and they are fully focused on this game tonight, because those can be tough. These little one-off on the roads, you're just kind of looking to get there and get back home, which hopefully Dallas won't have an issue with. And over the last few seasons, from what we know, probably not going to happen. They don't seem to overlook opponents, and they certainly don't overlook road games. They are spectacular on the road, as we know, and that is certainly a characteristic over a characteristic of the Stars the past few seasons, and that has a lot to do with their experience. And so look for the young guys to jump in there. Man, I'm looking forward to watching Maverick Bourque a bit more. He played 12 minutes the other night in his season debut, and we touched on him a bit on yesterday's episode, and there were some things you liked, but he's just trying to catch up to speed again. So and two, also we saw Johnston, Stankoven, and Bourque for a shift in that third period against the Sharks. So, DeBoer's he's already itching to sort of get the offense going. I think that tells you that he's not necessarily satisfied with what he's seen offensively a ton, outside of really the fourth line, to be fair. And again, they've won, they're 4-0, but the offense can be better. And yeah, don't be surprised if DeBoer starts, throwing some combinations, starts shuffling some things around here tonight on the road, just to see if he can spark some new lines, spark some chemistry, just spark some offense if they come out of the gate slow. So that's what I'm looking forward to tonight, as the Stars are in the nation's capital taking on the Washington Capitals. You can catch the game on Victory Plus. I want to say it's a 6:30 puck drop. It is 6 o'clock. Sorry about that. So 6 o'clock, the 4-0 Stars looking to remain unbeaten. Let's jump into the final segment here on Locked On Stars, Shooting Star. I've only got one so far correct throughout the first 4 games. The fans have been correct on, I have none right now. I have none, okay? So we need you listeners of Locked On Stars to vote for a quality candidate tonight, okay? We need to get the fans on the board. And I realize some of you are probably perfect, but it's majority rules here, okay? It's straight up democracy on Locked On Stars. So we'll get into Shooting Star in just a moment. Today's episode of Locked On Stars is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events easier. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Gametime is there for you. Whether you want to go to a Stars game, a Cowboys game, you want to go to a comedy show, theater, you name it, they have it. You can get a panoramic view of your seat before you buy it, so you know exactly what to expect when you get there. They have the lowest price guaranteed. Plus, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. It takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets. So get to Gametime right now, create an account, and you can use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. I downloaded PrizePicks the other day. It's so easy. You create your account and you can get $50 instantly when you use the code LOCKEDONNHL as well. When you play $5, it is so fun. You can watch the Stars games and put more or less on Wyatt Johnston, let's say 2.5 shots over, Jake Ottinger more than 26 saves. You can play like that, watch the Stars game, and make some money. And plus, Locked On, the podcast network, is here for you. Use code LOCKEDONNHL and get $50 instantly when you play $5, and you can continue the fun with PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. As we usually do on an episode of Locked On Stars, we wrap things up with Shooting Star. Once again, be sure to vote on the YouTube community tab, and that'll be the fans' decision for the Shooting Star that night. So please do that. And also, a big thank you for the cooperation on that as well. We get about 100 votes each game, which is great. And so we get a good sample. I'm 0 for in the last 3 games. I got Otter off the hop, but since then I've really struggled. So maybe I just need to go with a sleeper pick. So that's what I'm going to do, a sleeper Shooting Star pick in Washington. I'm going with Sam Steele. Sam Steele is going to be my Shooting Star pick. He's looked good to begin the year. That fourth line has been great. Pete DeBoer is going to use that line to set the tone. Sam Steele's my guy. Sam Steele is my guy for Shooting Star tonight in DC. I'm putting it in the spreadsheet. It is entered. It is submitted for the world to see. So there you go. Sam Steele is my Shooting Star. Picked up a goal the other night against Seattle. And I think that fourth line's been great. So they're going to continue to be impactful for the Dallas Stars. That's who I'm going with. Let me know your Shooting Star pick via the YouTube community tab. Also, let me know how you're feeling about the Stars in the comment section below. Stars are 4-0, off to a fantastic start. They were the first 4-0 team in the NHL until Calgary joined them a few hours later after their win over Chicago the other night. Just taking a look at the standings real quick. So the Stars are unbeaten. So is Winnipeg and Calgary. Those are the 3 undefeated teams, along with Tampa Bay. So you got 4. I think, that's it. Just 4 teams remaining. Can the Stars be the last one standing? I don't know if that's a very good omen, to be frank, to be completely honest. But hey, the more they win, the better. They have a goal differential of +7. The shot differential has been a different story. They showed it on Victory Plus the other night before the San Jose game that the Stars were like bottom 5 in shot differential, but they were the only undefeated team. So that sort of speaks to they're finding ways to win, and good teams find ways to win. You're going to hear me say that so many times after games this season. So I don't look forward to the first episode following a loss. If we can go 82-0, that would be awesome. A road to 82-0. And it's going to be nothing but sunshine and rainbows here on Locked On Stars. And I say that, and I've, complained about the power play already 4 games in. Sorry, Pete. Sorry. Just, it'd be a disservice for me not to talk about the struggles, okay? Be a disservice, okay? I have to speak on it. Got to answer the tough questions. There's some people in the Metroplex that don't want to answer those tough questions. You know what I mean. If you know, you know. Anyways, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Stars. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. You guys are fantastic. We continue to grow this channel. Thank you. I love you guys. Love our listeners. And I love the community. So I appreciate all the feedback and you guys engaging with me as well in the comments. It really does mean the world. I'm very, very appreciative and blessed that I get to come on here and talk shop with everybody every single day. So I'll leave you for the night. Enjoy tonight's game against the Caps as the Stars look to remain unbeaten in Washington, D.C. Can they move to 5-0? We'll be back tomorrow to break it all down ahead of the weekend. on a Friday edition. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow. So long, Stars fans.